Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Boom Boom Review Stuff. And I am back for another movie review. And today I'm going to be reviewing Where the Crawdads Sing, which is currently available to watch on Netflix. It came out earlier this year in theaters, and at that time I really wanted to see it. If you guys follow any of my other channels, you've probably heard me talk about the book that this film was adapted from. That came out, I believe, in 2018 by Delia Owens. I read this book, I think probably 3 to 6 months after it came out. When I was talking about this the other day, I was talking about it in a vlog or something like that, and I said that I had read it right as it came out, but I actually remember that like I had purchased it and I had not bought it, and that my cousin Caroline, she told me, she said, you have to read this book. And at the time there was another book that was a memoir called Educated, and she told me you should also read this book. And in some ways the stories are similar, so I read those books back to back, and I think it was about 3 to 6 months after Where the Crawdads Sing came out. And I was actually really surprised when I finished it that I hadn't read it earlier, because it ended up being, as an avid reader, one of my favorite books, if not in my top 3 favorite books of life. And, you know, on my BookTube channel for years, I've done the top 5 of the year and things like that. And I think that year, I think it was actually the same year that Taylor Jenkins Reid's book, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, came out. And so I think that was my #1, and Where the Crawdads Sing was #2. I could be wrong about that. But I think it tied #1 with another book, or it was like #2 next to #1. But I absolutely loved this book. Now, there is a little bit of controversy about the author. Before I get into this movie review, I want to say there's a little bit of controversy about this author because she was, hold on a second, I want to make sure that I get this right. It says, what is the controversy with Where the Crawdads Sing? And it says, the book is mired in controversy. What most of Crawdad fans don't know is that Delia and Mark Owens have been advised never to return to one of the African nations where they once lived and worked, Zambia, because they were wanted for questioning in a murder that took place decades ago. And that came out in July 14, 2022. And there's been a lot of talk and speculation about that. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I knew that that was going to come up somewhere in the comment section. So I just wanted to say that, yes, I am aware of that. When I read this book originally, I have to tell you, there have been very few, I would say, characters in my life that I have been so attached to so quickly, or that in some kind of strange way I really relate to. This also won't be a mystery for people that watch my videos. Scout, Jean Louise, from Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, is my absolute favorite character of life. I love the book, To Kill a Mockingbird, and I actually love the movie adaptation even more. It is the reason why I ended up naming our dog Boo Radley. And he's a little Boo Radley, so much. And you know, I have to say, it's interesting in kind of comparing these two, because I think in my own belief system, and I reread To Kill a Mockingbird, I think it was 2 years ago, and I've read it probably in my life, I don't even know how many times. My mom and I would watch the movie over and over and over again, and we would read the book every couple years together, and it was a real connecting piece between us. The last time that I read the book, it didn't really have the impact on me that it had in previous years. And in fact, at that time, I did a video on my BookTube channel, and I said that that was probably the last time in my life that I would ever read To Kill a Mockingbird, because I reread some books, because it didn't really have the impact that it did. And then, in fact, what I said was that I think I was really more in love with the movie. And it's a rare movie for me, okay, that the movie adaptation of the book is better than the book itself. And as much as I love Harper Lee, and as much as I love the book To Kill a Mockingbird, for me, there's something about the movie that just makes it's just so magical, right? I will say that like I said, there are very few movies out there that I think do books justice. And I think like Jaws by Peter Benchley is fantastic. I think after having read Jaws by Peter Benchley, the book is completely different than the movie. But to take that book and turn it into what Jaws became is like unbelievable, right? You know, I think many of the Michael Crichton books, like Jurassic Park, to turn those into the movies that they became is like unbelievable, right? And I actually love like The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I thought that was a fantastic film adaptation. And so there have been, to me, several book to movie adaptations that are pretty good. I would say this is probably one of them. I was really, really impressed, and I just watched this a couple days ago, and I was really super impressed, and like I say in all of my videos, there will be spoilers in this, okay? So I want to read to you just a synopsis really quick of what this is about, in case you don't know. Hold on just a second. Oh, no, I just got out of it. Okay, so Where the Crawdads Sing is a 2018 coming-of-age murder mystery novel by American author Delia Owens. The story follows two timelines that slowly intertwine. The first timeline describes the life and adventures of a young girl named Kaya as she grows up isolated in the marshes of North Carolina, and she's referred to as the Marsh Girl. The second timeline follows an investigation into the apparent murder of Chase Andrews, a local celebrity of Barkley Cove, a fictional coastal town of North Carolina. Now, there was a lot that was changed, I felt, from the book to the movie, but I didn't even know that I felt like it really mattered. And in fact, I had to go in and Google search articles that talked about the differences between the book and the movie. And when you read these articles, there's really only 5 or 6 major differences, you know? One of them is that there was a poet whose poetry is read throughout the book. And at the end, the way that you find out that Kaya is actually the one that did murder Chase Andrews is through a poem that her common-law husband of long-term boyfriend, Tate, reads, right? And he finds out that she all along was actually this poet, this little-known poet, right? That part was completely left out of the movie. That being said, I wasn't upset about it. I wasn't upset that he found the necklace in the back of this book, you know, that she had drawn these pictures, and there was a picture of Chase in there wearing the necklace, and then there was a little, you know, a nook that was cut out, and the necklace was back in there. I thought it was actually kind of the visual mystery that the movie needed, that it wouldn't have had it had the poetry line of the book. And in fact, when I was reading about that, I had kind of forgotten about the poetry part of the book, right? A big part of it that was different was, in the book, there was a lot of focus on Kaya's family and the leaving of each sibling and things like that at the beginning of it, and her being left with her father and then her father finally leaving. And I can remember reading the book at the moment when she's left completely all alone, and Delia Owens, whatever controversy she's had, is such a fantastic author that the way that she wove that, you really felt the emotions of Kaya being alone in these times, right? And I can remember specifically, one of them was when she went to Jumper's like store and asked him about selling like mussels, I think. And so I was kind of waiting for that scene in the movie, and of course they had the scene in the movie, and I loved his character in there. I thought that he did a fantastic job. And the one thing that they said in like relating the book to the movie is that he played more of a role in the book than the movie. If he did, which I think he did. There was a scene with like bullies in the movie, and Kaya kind of like he's got these bullies out of his store and stuff like that. But other than that, I don't remember him playing like a huge part, except for that he and his wife always looked out for Kaya. But I do remember that scene because in the book it was such a moving scene where you could kind of tell there was like this unwritten agreement that he and his wife were going to look out for, like that they knew that she had nobody else and that they were going to look out for Kaya. And there was, you know, so many, I think, kind of analogies of the time that this took place and the way that they were treated and in the racist South and the way that she was perceived as the Marsh girl and things like that. That is one, I would say, piece that I felt was like kind of like they aimed at it in the movie, but I felt like it was missed. Like I felt like it was done really, really well in the book, but I felt like in the movie it was really greatly missed. So anyway, you know, this is the love story of her with Tate and her with Chase and then all this kind of stuff, you know, and I think like one thing that I got more in the movie, first of all, the actress that played Kaya, I don't even know what her name is. I should look in here and see. Hold on a second. I want to make sure that, what is her name? Daisy Edgar Jones. She was fantastic. She was absolutely, absolutely fantastic in this movie. And, yeah, and loved her so much. And I really felt like she encompassed everything about Kaya. There were a couple things for me that, you know, it's hard to translate emotion into what you're seeing in a movie. What was I going to say? I was going to say something before I went off into talking about her as an actress. Well, it doesn't matter, I guess. You know, it was about this love story, that all this kind of stuff, right? And I think this is like the one thing. It's like when I was reading the book, I don't know, like at the end, like it felt to me very much reading the book kind of inconclusive. Like there was a part of me that felt like, did she kill him? Like I'm confused a little bit, right? Like there was kind of some confusion. There was no confusion watching the movie. Like you knew that she had killed him, right? And just the idea... okay, and they did this in the movie more than they did this in the book. Compared the life of nature and the way of nature and the natural law of things to human life. Like, they did that better in the movie than it was done in the book. I think it was alluded to in the book, but it was done better in the movie. That the natural law of things needs to kind of take its way sometimes, which is why she ended up killing him. Supposedly because she was threatened by him. But to imagine her, like, going out of town, meeting with her publisher, having dinner, in the middle of the night, getting on this bus, coming here, luring him out to the middle of nowhere on this, you know, thing, killing him, pushing him off this thing, killing him, taking the necklace, getting on the train, going back and having breakfast the next morning is really unbelievable. And then you find out later that it actually happened. I mean, in the movie, they make it very, very clear. In the book, it really wasn't that clear. In fact, I think that she kind of left it a little ambiguous on purpose. Maybe, I don't know, I don't remember that clearly exactly how it ended. But, I mean, I remember, I will say this, and it's, you know, it's been 4 years or 3 years since I've read the book, but I kind of thought, like, she just lived her life out the rest of her life alone, and I didn't remember that she lived the rest of her life with Tate. So it was kind of interesting and exciting to see that. I did love that she, you know, lived out this long life, you know, as the Marsh girl in this house and things like that, and that the two of them grew old together, and that she published all of these books. I liked it, you know. I cried really, really hard at certain parts of this movie. I cried really hard at the end of this movie, I have to tell you. And it takes a lot for me to ugly cry in movies anymore. Like, I cry all the time. If y'all watch my channel, use my channels, you know I cry all the time, right? But it takes a lot for me to really ugly cry in a movie, and I really, really did at the end of this movie. I think out of 10, I would give this movie easily... I would think if I had just watched it and I had never read the book, I would give this movie an 8.5 out of 10. I really thought it was good. You know, I judge a lot of movies and books based on, was there meaning, was there something to be learned at the end of this? And there was, you know. There was a story that went along with it. It wasn't just fast-paced entertainment, which is totally fine, you know. Based on the book... I don't know that I would give it much lower than that. I think I would maybe give it an 8, an 8.5 based, you know, the book adaptation. I thought they did a fantastic job. I was really impressed with it. One of the reasons why I really, like, when the movie came out, that I was hesitant to go see it was because I was scared that I would be let down. You know, I always have that, you know. Like, I remember... I can't remember what the other John Green movie was that came out, but I later went and saw Paper Towns, and I loved Paper Towns, but the ending I thought was so horrific because they didn't stick to the real story ending, which was so easy. I don't know why they wouldn't have, but they didn't stick to the story ending, and so it was like, ooh, I like this movie, boom, and it was like horrible, you know? And so for me, when books like change so much, it's like, I think the one thing that Where the Crawdads Sing did that was so fantastic was it kept the main story plot points, but it also kept the main emotional points too. And it drew you in as an audience to the emotional part of this story. And I loved it. I was really impressed with it. So I also want to give you guys a little update on the reviews that I'm going to be doing, hopefully, the next couple days. So tomorrow, if I do not do a crumble cookie review, I will be doing my review of the new show on Netflix that just came out. It's sitting at number 2 or 3 or 4 on the top 10 TV shows for the United States, and that is called Pepsi, Where's My Jet? I just finished it last night. And then on Wednesday or Thursday, Thanksgiving, I will be doing my review of A Christmas Story Christmas, which is the sequel with Peter Billingsley to the original Christmas Story. There's been a lot of other remakes and sequels, but this is actually the sequel to it. And I started watching it the other day in the kitchen while I was cleaning out the kitchen and cleaning out coffee mugs, and I started bawling, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to watch this another time. So I'm gonna be doing that review. So that's on HBO Max. And if you guys have any Christmas movies, I'm gonna try in the month of December to be reviewing a lot of Christmas movies. So if you guys have, a couple years ago I watched, maybe I did do a review of it, I don't know, it was called like Santa Jaws or Santa Shark or something like that. It was so bad, you guys. Oh my god. But anyway, if you guys have movies, Christmas movies, bad or good, I don't even care, that you want me to review, put them in the comment section below. I will tell you one review that I will be doing and that I'm really excited about is the movie Elf, because I have never seen the movie Elf before. So I will be doing a movie video called I've Never Seen Elf Before or whatever, watching Elf for the first time. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought about Where the Crawdads Sing. I love you guys so much, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.